Ain't nobody out here claiming perfection. You know, I'm saying, and all I'm really saying is if we want to see something better, we got to try to be something better. Yeah, keep in mind, I'm really new to this, so we don't Okay, this is cool. All right, so first off, thank you for taking the time to come out. This is like we're on TV.
You didn't have to say that.
And again, like I shared with you before, I really want to create some dialogue and build some bridges, which probably in Compton there are already some things like this going on.
Yes.
But I want to see if we can really strengthen the effort and find ways for these organizations, because there's so many phenomenal organizations doing so many phenomenal things, to help them understand both the right ways to do it and then ways to find that support and structure and whatever it takes for their organizations to grow and really provide strong, effective, long-lasting services here in Compton. So, boom. Can you tell us what you do?
Yes. So, I run a youth-based nonprofit here in Compton for the past 11 years in March. So 11 years in March.
That's a good run.
Yeah, good run. And we provide mentorship, tutoring, and I used to call it enrichment activities, but another word for that is just life skills.
Okay.
And in addition to all of those services, we do our annual events, back to school giveaway, toy drives, vision board events, day in the park events, just whatever can bring the community together. And those events are free. The only thing that we ever even really charge for is our gala that we do in October. That's to raise money, of course, for the organization. So that's the nonprofit side. Again, based here in Compton, because I'm from Compton. So
you're from Compton?
I'm from Compton.
Very nice.
Around the corner, actually, with St. Albert.
Really?
I did.
Okay. Good job.
That's my little school right there. So that's that. Now, what you're talking about, though, in regards to bringing people together, I started a for-profit business called The Power Legacy. And I started that in 2019 because prior to 2019, maybe like around 2017, I want to say, maybe even 2016, I started helping people start their nonprofits. But this was just basic level start the nonprofit, right?
Okay.
I was just doing it for free. Wasn't charging nobody. I was just doing it. But then in 2019, when I got laid off of a job I was working, I was like, okay, yeah, this probably isn't for me. I'm going to do this like full-fledged, The Power Legacy. So I did. I hired a coach who I always shout out. Her name is Lauren. I hired a coach to help me put everything together. And what I noticed was I was doing it wrong. Meaning like I was helping people start their nonprofits, but that's basic level. There has to be more than just I'm trying to understand how to do the paperwork, because that's only one part of the nonprofit. Your paperwork can be in great standing, but if you don't know what you're doing with it, if you don't understand outcome measures, if you don't understand sustainability, profitability, if you don't understand all of that within the nonprofit, it's going to be exactly what you don't want, which is nonprofits starting in the community, but they don't know how to sustain because they're so stuck on, I got my 501c3, let's go get a grant. That's what everyone does. And that should not be the mindset, because if you are thinking about just only getting grants when it comes to the nonprofit, that means that you are gambling, because grants are 50-50, they could be 70-30,
yeah, right.
They could be 80-20, they could be all these different numbers. So there's no guarantee that you're going to get a grant. But if you have a solid program, if you have a solid sustainability plan, a solid fundraising plan, all these different things, you are bringing in money into your nonprofit without ever touching a grant. Not to say we don't want those. We want all the free money. We want all of the contracts. We want all of the partnerships. We do want them. But I'm saying, I have started to date 217 nonprofits since 2019.
That's big.
And it's big, but then if I go through my Rolodex of how many of those nonprofits are actually thriving and sustaining, it's not because I didn't do it right. It's because of the mindset of the person on the other end. Because they don't even understand teams. Like, they don't understand board members. that's an important part of your nonprofit, but most people use their family. And when you use your family, you're running a private foundation and you don't even realize it.
Now, I want to cut you off really quick for two reasons. The first reason is, usually, and I was kind of taught the same thing for a nonprofit, you want to have a board that is going to stay both in cahoots with your vision and not bug back so that you can always continue to go in the line that you want to go. Mm-hmm. And second, your board, you want them to have some type of knowledge of some kind of business so that they can have, by all appearances, some strength.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's one thing I wanted to mention real quick. But I heard you mention a lady named Brandy. Was that the name you mentioned?
No, I said Lauren.
Lauren. Okay. Boom. Lauren. And you shared about how she was so instrumental in what you're doing.
Yeah, well, she helped with the coaching side. Like,
but wait, but I don't want to cut you off. I want you to understand something. You haven't even told us your name. So your heart is all big on you show love to everybody else. But I haven't been. Oh, I didn't introduce you.
Yeah, the first thing you said is, so tell me what you do.
So I overshot a question.
Yeah.
Can you tell us your name, please?
It's okay. I could have said my name. My name is Christi McDaniel.
Christi. I have you on my phone, Christi. Go ahead.
Christi. I'm Christi. Mm-hmm. Christi, the CEO.
The CEO.
From Compton, California.
And your organization is?
Children Striving Together.
That's your shirt, your sweater.
This is my sweater.
Boom. Okay, so we kind of reversed. Can you tell us what Children Striving Together is?
It's a nonprofit.
I know.
It's what I said in the beginning. So it's the nonprofit that focuses on mentorship, tutoring, and enrichment. And for the ages 5 to 18, it used to be 2 to 18, but we changed it to 5 because sometimes people think of babysitting, like a nonprofit, depending on what it is, being a babysitter. And we focus on promise youth. We used to say at risk, because at risk could be so many things. It could be single household. It could be gun violence. It could be drug abuse parents. It could be so many things. But when people say at risk, they automatically think bad. They think bad neighborhood. They think bad area. They think negative. It's just a negative connotation from the word at risk. So we just changed it to at promise because it just gives it a more positive light on the individuals that we're trying to influence. But it doesn't mean if you haven't come from a rough area, quote unquote, you can't be a part. We accept all youth no matter what. There's not a turn down process. If you need the help, we're going to give the help.
Okay. So, of course, that's why we have editing. So we're going to go back and change how we started this versus how it's going to go. Okay. So, boom. Back to the nonprofits.
Yes.
Right? The structuring that you've been doing that you were talking about, that, from what I've seen up until this point, and I'm new to this, what I'm doing right here. Mm-hmm. But even myself, how it's being structured, it's a lot of stuff that I'm going to have to go back and revisit, go back and change out, go back and relearn. Mm-hmm. A person like you, what would you say, and how would you say a person could or should build a nonprofit? How should that look?
Okay, so of course we know we have the paperwork, but I think understanding that, like, you can hire someone to do it. You can hire me to do it. But understand it as well. So I'm not going to just do your paperwork and say, hey, here you go, it's done. You have to understand it because there's things that you have to keep up with on a yearly basis, or your tax exempt status and everything about your nonprofit will go away. It will be revoked, it will be suspended, and it's just hard to get that back. So in addition to understanding your paperwork part, I would say really focus on infrastructure, on foundation. Again, I'm not making this up. I've met so many different people. The first thing I hear people say when they tell me they have a nonprofit, they want a nonprofit, is they talk about the money and the grant. I know I'm doing this really great thing, and I heard that I could get money for it. I heard I could get this and that. So when I talk to people and they tell me, even if someone is coming to me for a service and they're like, hey, I'm interested in getting a nonprofit, the first thing I ask them is why? Why do you want to start a nonprofit? What made you want to start a nonprofit? Because I'm trying to figure out, are you coming from a for-set mindset or are you coming from a nonprofit mindset? Because everyone that wants to start a for-profit.
Okay.
Like a for-profit mindset.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I don't want, I want to be honest with people. And I don't want somebody to self-destruct because they just think that was a good idea or someone told them that's what they should do. because every idea doesn't need to be a nonprofit.
Right.
And collaboration is key even when it comes to nonprofits now, because there are people that may want to start one, but there's already one exactly like it, and they can link up and be even stronger together. But everybody wants to have that I started mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I did this, I did that. They don't want to link up with people. So
everybody want to be branded. Yeah. Everybody wants to build a brand.
Exactly, and I think that's what's drowning us, because if you go to other communities, you go to people that have a little bit more money than what we have, you don't see them all with their own businesses. You see the friend, and then the friend is the CEO, the CFO, the COO, and they said, man, I wanted to start one, but he wanted to start one and she wanted, so we came together, and now they're millionaires. Yeah. But we sitting over here talking about, because you need one, I need one, they need one. We don't have to do that. Even when it comes to back to school giveaways or toy drives, just as an example, we have so many in Compton. You see them. Why? We don't need all of them. If we had a huge back to school giveaway, a huge toy giveaway, and we've done that, like me, Dre, our Councilman Spicer, Anjanette from Women Blessing Women, just a lot of different people. Mm-hmm. We have come together and done them together and brought out over 4,000 people just because we all came together as one. But it's always the people that, the sides and all that kind of stuff. But just going back to the initial question, it's the foundation part. Like you were saying, you said something which was talking about the board members. You want people that understand your mindset, why you're doing this, your vision, your core values. You want someone to be like-minded and aligned. Yes. So, and then when you have your board members, those are the people that are at the top. So if you have someone that wants to be a board member and they have no understanding of how to bring in finances, whether they have it in their own pocket, it's in your pocket, it's in their friend pocket, it's in their network's pocket, they don't know how to do that, they should not be a board member in that moment. It's not to say they can't never be one, but they're not ready for that, because the board is the ones that have these meetings with these donors and bring that money in and all of that. If you just say, I want to be on your board, but I don't really want to bring no money, I want to help with the social media. You should be a volunteer as a social media person, not a board member.
So let me tell you what I've seen. I've seen people get people on their board because they're family, so we can vote the same.
No.
Or because I need a certain amount of people for the Secretary of State.
Yeah, that's what most people do.
But what happens is, and even for myself, this project, which is our nonprofit, I really wasn't on that. I'm creating a docuseries. The team was like, hey, we need more resources. Maybe we can start with this. And at the time, I already owned some buildings here in Compton, so I'm like, all right, I will commit whatever I have to this project. Mm-hmm. And so we put a board together. And I'm so grateful for everybody on our board. But everybody on our board have their own organization. Everybody on our board have their own motion that they have to, they own stuff that they are phenomenally involved with and doing their thing with. So we came back and revisited. I'm like, look, at some point we're going to restructure this board. Because everybody, I'm grateful, of course.
Yeah. However,
we need motion.
And you have to make sure, even with boards, I always ask people, I'm like, does your nonprofit, does your board, do you guys have a give or get policy? 90% say no. They don't even have that.
What that means?
A give or get policy is when you bring a board member into your nonprofit, there is a give or get policy that is in place. Most nonprofits start off at like a $5,000 number. So you'll be like, you're going to join my board. You understand what your duties is going to be. But each board member is going to give out of their own pocket $5,000, or they're going to get $5,000 from constituents, from the donors, from people in their network.
I hope y'all paying attention to this. This is breaking fucking news.
You have to do these things if you know nonprofits and you are operating your nonprofit the proper way. You would have this policy in place, because what that does is it brings in a specific dollar amount that you know the nonprofit is going to bring in. Period. So example, if it's 3 people on the board and you talking about we bringing in $2,000, let's say your give or get policy was $2,000. How are you going to operate off of $6,000 if no grants came in?
So I want to give you my devil's advocate to that, all right?
But you could give it to me, but there's no such thing as a devil's advocate when it comes to give or get. Just so you know, meaning like for nonprofits, but I still want to hear it.
Devil's advocate perspective.
Go ahead,
right.
Yeah.
Boom. So here we are coming from the city, and yeah, people find the money for what they want to spend it on, for how they spend it.
Right.
And this is the truth. And we can't do better fiscally and financially within our community.
Right.
However, for somebody to whip out $5,000 or $2,000 towards a grassroots organization within our community, I would say is it's not going to be the norm. Because I'm not saying we don't have it.
I'm going to stop you right now. See, and that's because you don't understand it. Because what your mind just said, based off of what you said, you gave me a devil's advocate perspective. Mm-hmm. Because based off of that, you said no. Most people in our community, they're not going to just whip out $5,000 or $2,000 or whatever the number is. Mm-hmm. And that's because how you're thinking about it is not proper. So meaning, you have, let's say your number was $2,000, mm-hmm. and you said each board member brought in $2,000. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you start the nonprofit January 1st, you write a check for $2,000.
I understand.
That's not how it is.
I get what you're saying.
It can be over the course of 12 months. You're bringing in $200 a month, whatever a month. Mm-hmm. If you don't have that mentality, or if your board is not trying to move in that way, I promise you, 8 times out of 10, the nonprofit doesn't do or perform at the level that it should, because now the individuals that are in the nonprofit, they're not focused on the financial aspect of it, which is very important, because if not, you're going to be a self-funded nonprofit. That's just what's going to happen. You're going to be self-funded. So instead, you find individuals that not only have, like you said, the understanding and the knowledge and the business part of it, like they understand that part, but they understand, okay, I don't have $2,000 to give you. I'm not going to even lie. But let's put this campaign together and see how much we can raise. Let's put this this fundraising event together. Let's take a trip to the casino and get 30 people that want to attend. They all pay whatever the dollar amount is, mm-hmm. $50. You add that up, that's probably what, $1,500, $15, whatever, however much money that is. Let's do that 4 times. If I did that 4 times, every quarter, and this was what I wanted to contribute, like I'm going to put this event together, I'm bringing in $1,500 every quarter. I've succeeded and surpassed the $2,000 already. So when you think about give or get, yeah, you're thinking about individuals that you could tap into and individuals that you can contact, but you have to think about the fundraising aspect too. If you're not doing that and you're only thinking again about grants, about sponsorships, about those kind of things, what happens when you go a whole year and you don't get any of that? Do your nonprofit not work? Do you guys not do anything?
That is why she is the shit.
Yeah, you just sitting in meetings now.
You are winning me over right now just telling me this. I'm like, wow, this is really great. Tap in with her.
I teach this workshop called The 6 Pillars to a Profitable Nonprofit. I do it. I wasn't doing it on a monthly basis. I was kind of doing it quarterly. But I want to do it. Yeah, I created it. And it goes over the 6 pillars. If you can understand these 6 pillars, your nonprofit is going to be profitable. So infrastructure, that's first. That's the foundation. Your board members and your team, because most people only have a board. But what about your team? Who's doing social media? Who's doing outreach? Who's knocking on doors? Who's going to vendor events so that you can have visibility? It's not just your board. Boards only really meet, when we get into the real big nonprofits, they only meet really once a year. And that's to sign off on stuff. They're not because they have an invested interest into the nonprofit. They're making sure that money is flowing, and they're signing off and voting and saying yes and no to most things. But we have smaller nonprofits, so our board members have to be a little more in tune with what we're doing. But board members not showing up to all the events because they're board members. They can, but they don't have to. So that's why you have your team of volunteers. So board members and team, you need all that. The third thing is your programs and resources. Understanding, are you program-based or are you resource-based? Or are you both? Some people are program-based because it's a program that is happening on a daily, weekly, monthly basis within the nonprofit. Mm-hmm. But then some people are resource-based. They're giving. Oh, I'm giving you a resource. I'm giving you food every week. We do the food drives, or we do the toiletry drives, or I'm giving you, you do gang intervention, gang prevention. So I'm giving you resources on what you need to do to prevent, intervene, all that stuff. That's a resource. So you come up with your program and resources. Then you go into budget. Mm-hmm. You cannot write a budget if you don't understand program and resources, because what are you writing? You don't even know what you're writing. You're writing numbers and you're saying, I think I need a space. I think I need to pay a CEO. I think I need a staff member. But you didn't even wrote the program out. So how do you know what you really need? Because budget is everything. You need your overall operating budget, which is everything, like paying for this space, these lights, these cameras, we paying for all of that. But then you need just your only program budget. Because some funders they're not funding your operation. They're funding just a program, just an event, just a resource. So those have to be separate. So you do your budget. After budget, we go into fundraising and sustainability. Do you have a fundraising plan? Most people don't. Do you have a marketing plan? Most people don't. These are plans that you have to put in place, because you could say January 1, we did our fundraising plan. And I always tell people, when you do your strategy plan, you do it 3 months before your new year. Because you go in January 1 or you go in July 1 knowing what you're about to do. So you start that 3 months before your new year is coming, so that all the new board members, all the new team members, everyone knows what they're doing at the start. Not you starting in January 1 and now you're already behind. Because anybody that's trying to get funding for 2024, most times they gave it out in 2023. Corporations. They gave it out in August and September. So we might be a little bit behind. If you got an event in March, that money gone already. So fundraising and sustainability, that's how you're going to sustain that nonprofit. And then the final piece is the implementation phase. So it's like taking every single thing that those 5 pillars that we talked about, making sure that they're broken down, you understand them, your team understands them, you know what to do, you got your task list, your goals list, your objective list, all that stuff. And now we figuring out, all right, now that we got all this, how we implementing this. How we implement it and transitioning from what we didn't know to now, we know a lot. So we teach this, I teach this, right? Mm-hmm. But then what you think people do? They write it, they be excited, and then 3 weeks later, it's back to the square one. When they got everything. But these are people that, most times the people that take the information, they write it down and they say this is good information. If it's only you and your mama and your auntie or your friend and your cousin on your board, it gets lost in the sauce. Because they not, most times, not always, most times they're not pushing you the way a business-minded person would be pushing you. But your team, they gonna push you.
So I watch you and I'm listening to you. And by all appearances, you have an after high school education.
Yeah.
Okay. And from what I've seen, a lot of these grassroots organizations in the city of Compton, and I'm just going to speak on that part, are over 50 years old. And a lot of times, from the ones that I've personally seen and been involved with, and a lot of times, this is a new language. This can be overwhelming.
Yeah,
just keeping books, being strategic. Now, a lot of them have their heart is in the right place. It's the education, the knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm big on mentoring. I think that the person that I am and have become over the years has been based on borrowing pieces from different individuals, whether it's my education, whether it's my involvement with real estate, whether it's my business, whatever it is, I borrow pieces from different people. I would call them my mentors to a degree, right? Even the type of father that I am, I've looked at different men like, all right, that's the type of lane I'm gonna be in. I want to be in.
Right.
You know, rule number 1: go home every day, right? So I didn't think that those were important rules as a kid, but as I got older, I started to pick men because I didn't have, I don't have a father. I don't even know who my father is. So I would pick different things I would adopt. So the reason I'm mentioning this is a lot of these organizations may need like a mentor.
And that's great.
A mentor, that's what's needed.
I agree. I think they do, especially the older generation. I think that they need it. They just have to. I feel like when they do get that mentor, they have to like be ready to do the work as well. But for me, like, I know who I'm talking to. Meaning, like, whoever my client is at the moment, if I understand that you have a Harvard Law education, then I know how I can talk to you versus someone that probably didn't graduate from even high school. So there's ways that all of this stuff, they have the big terms and the smaller terms, and the way that you can give examples is almost like trying to understand math. Math can be I'm not good at math, to be quite honest, when it comes to like statistics and all that kind of stuff. So math can be very, very hard, be very, very overwhelming. But with the right teacher, you can understand it. You can get someone that, wait, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. That don't even make sense to me. But then you have people that'll teach it in a way that'll teach it in life form. Like, okay, so you understand how if you go to the store, you know, people give those kind of examples.
Right.
So it's the same thing when it comes to this nonprofit. You, depending on the person that's on the other side of the fence, you first understand their story. Mm-hmm. Meaning, like, why did you even start this? Why do you want to do this? And what are you struggling with? Mm-hmm. Because I'm not going to go there if you 1,000% understand how to do what you want to do in the community, but you don't understand how to keep the books. Or you understand the bookkeeping part, but you don't understand how to keep the team. Like, there's different things. It could be anything that you're struggling with. So you first start with what is your struggle? And then once you figure that out, what the person is dealing with, then that's how you can navigate through helping them with that. Because I feel like when it comes to, you know, these grassroots organizations, everyone wants to, not everyone, people want to do things for the greater good of their community, whatever that may be. Mm-hmm. But then sometimes you may have a nonprofit that's out here that is doing great work, but it doesn't make sense for the community. They feel like it makes sense for the community, but just use an example. Let's just say a dance company, a nonprofit dance studio or whatever. They always put on dance performances. But if Compton has 16, and now you bring in 3 more, maybe we're not saying that your heart is in the right place, because it is. Maybe you either can join forces, or have you ever thought of thinking about something else that's outside the box that Compton actually needs? You know what I mean? Because we be bringing in so many resources that sometimes are the same, and all it is now is a matter of picking which one you want to go to. Versus, yeah, you guys are all doing this, but y'all not taking care of the homelessness that's happening in the city. Not saying that that's what you want to do, because I don't want to do that, but somebody does. You know what I mean? So I think, or sometimes even restructuring, like you said, restructure your nonprofit. Like, you may have a program that's really, really good, but if you write a grant and your grants keep getting denied, a lot of people don't even send an email back saying, thank you so much, but why did I get denied? Yeah. Because if you understand the why, and it's 7 people saying the same thing, then maybe you do need to restructure that. Maybe you thought you had a great mentor program, but it lacked this thing, and you didn't realize it was lacking that, because you're seeing it from your own peripheral. You're not your own bias. Somebody else can come in and look at your program and be like, well, I think, and then you're like, well, no, this is what I want to do, so this is what. No, if you're thinking that way, it's not saying we're taking your mentor program away. We're trying to enhance it. We're trying to make it better. So you have to think about, okay, this program, it was doing good, but now it's not. What happened? Did the community change? Did the environment change? Did fees go up and now people can't pay for it? Because even if you look at your business on a January through December thing, it's always some months that the numbers be a little off. Right. Meaning, like, they be a little down. Is it the summertime because people are traveling a lot? Mm-hmm. Is it Christmas time because people are spending money on gifts and they ain't trying to really spend money on that? Is it the beginning of the year? It's big because everyone has big visions. It's new. I want to do this thing. So now you have an influx. Like, you have to look at those things too. And then even when you look at that, you figure out a way. I don't want to have this up and down just because it's summer, because it's Christmas time. How can I keep it where it's like a little bit of a up? So those, I feel like, again, that's what needs to take place when it comes to, like, even the older generation. Like, they may not know how to use computers. We're not telling you, your older generation, you know, aunties, grannies, grandpas, whatever, go learn how to use a computer or you're going to fail. No. Okay, you don't understand how to use a computer, and that might be above you. You just may not get that. Some people just don't get it. But we're going to have someone join your team that is really good with computers. And then at least you can get a small understanding of it. You know how to look at your bank account and see what's in there and what's not, but you don't understand the system behind it. We'll bring somebody in that understands the system, because this is what you actually need. You just take that. I always do audits on nonprofits, even before I grant write. Because people are like, I'm ready to get my
So
grant.
You write grants for organizations as well?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm a grant writer, and I got my certification from Cal State Dominguez. Okay. So I'm like, I'm gonna do an audit. So I'll audit against all odds. When it grants, let's audit it. I'm gonna first start with the paperwork. I'm gonna see if there's any discrepancies in there, and then from there, I'm gonna ask you to send me certain things. You have what's your program? You got a methodology. You got outcome measures. Do you have all these things? The things that you tell me no to, depending on what it is, lets me know if you're grant ready or not. It's not to say you can't get one right now. It just means we need to work on this first before we can write you a grant. Because guess what? This language is in every grant that they ask, and you don't have it. So they're going to ask you for a budget. Sometimes they may ask you for a 3-year budget. Do you have that? Oh, no, I don't have that. Okay, well, now we got to sit there and write it, because we're not about to make up a budget to get money for you, because it needs to make sense. You want longevity. So let's just pause for a second. Let's fix it. And then we'll apply for this grant. But people be so scared that if they don't apply for that grant, they're not going to get no money. Oh, it's $100,000 on the line. It's on the line, but you're not going to get it because you're going to get denied because you don't even have everything. You're not even ready for it. So let's get you ready so you're not only ready for that $100,000 grant, you're ready for all the grants because you fixed it. So,
I'm impressed.
Thank you.
I'm impressed.
Thank you, guys.
This younger generation, I'm impressed. You are. But I am impressed. I am impressed.
I just love this, honestly, to be quite honest. Like, I've made mistakes, don't get me wrong. People get into these positions and they talk about all the good.
Right. But
the bad comes too. Like, when I started my nonprofit, I didn't know nothing about nothing. I was just bringing in people that I literally had a vision driving on the 105 freeway that I needed to start my own nonprofit. And I got off the freeway, went to the library, got books, and I like read about it, and then I started doing the paperwork on my own with no help.
So you one of those people that still get books out of the library? Well, everybody else go on the internet.
No, I go to the library.
My nigga, go ahead.
Yeah, I went to the library, and I started doing the research or whatever. But the mistake that I made, well, not the mistake, what I didn't do at the time was I kind of looked up how much it costs, like, for someone to help you, and the numbers were like crazy numbers that I didn't have. But I didn't also understand the power of investing at that time. I didn't understand, like, oh, you're going to charge me $2,000, dang, I don't have it. I don't have it, but how can I, like, what can I do? Can we work on something? Can I pay you over time? Like, what can I do? Because I really want to do this. It just was like, oh, that costs too much, never mind, kind of thing. So through that, I had board members that were friends, family members. I didn't understand the importance of a board member, but I was doing things right, renting out a space, taking big board meetings in nice rooms for the aesthetic of it, all that, doing all of that. And then we were doing events, but it wasn't going past the events until someone told me, what you do is really good, but when like the events that you're doing, what does your nonprofit really do? Like, you just doing events. Like, what do you do outside of coming to this park and bringing kids together? Like, what if my kid want to come and learn more about this or that? And so then that's when, you know, I started changing and understanding. But when it comes to board members, I'm a people pleaser, and that showed in my business. I say yes to every single thing, and I'm just now, literally as of like the past 3 months through therapy, I am just now.
You went to therapy to get your shit right?
I'm in therapy, yes. I went to freaking therapy. I don't play that. God in therapy, okay? But I was like, I have a problem. Meaning, like, I know it's a good thing, but it is hurting me. It is making me be in positions that I don't want to be in. And I cannot do this anymore. So that's when my therapist told me to read this book called Codependent No More. And I'm like, whoa. And then my friends were like, I even told my friends, like, what my issue was, like, had a whole breakdown. And they were like, Christi, start with small nose. You don't have to start with big nose. Start saying small nose, because I'm the person that'll go to 4 events in one day and be breaking my back to get to all of them just so they can feel like I was supporting them. Yeah. Because my thing was, if I say no to somebody, it equals inadequacy. I don't know nothing. I'm dumb. I'm not smart. I can't do it. That's what no meant to me, based off of things I dealt with as a child. So if I tell you no, you're going to be like, oh, she said no, she don't know how to do it. Or she not good enough. Or she's not this.
Or she just don't want to do it for me.
Or she just don't want to do it then. Now you're going to be mad at me, and now I got to deal with you don't like me, and I don't want to deal with that. So that was all the things. So I'm still dealing, like, understanding how to, like, get through it, but I'm much better than I was. So I went through all of that, just different things with the nonprofit, you know, again, ups and downs, getting the grant, not getting the grant, no, yes, no, yes. You deal with all of that, and so I'm almost like, I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. And every time, I promise you, every single time my brain goes there, and my mind really be made up, a kid texts me. Always. Miss Christi, what we doing? Miss Christi, did you say, this little girl, she's so cute, she's a twin, she's 7. She's like, Miss Christi, you said we was going to do a slumber party, so when me and the girls, not the boys, when we doing a slumber party? Those are reminders, like, you know, you're not going to stop. So that's that part. But the for-profit side, You talk about mess up. Man, refund after refund. Didn't do this. I literally just had to refund a client. This is true story. Yesterday, I had a team member who was doing the 50, like, now I have an assistant, and then I have a couple of people that now help. So I told them, like, they're doing the 501c3, like, I signed off on it, make sure that everything is correct or whatever, go ahead, process it, and all that stuff. We're going to send an email to the client. Mm-hmm. So we did all this stuff, and it's now November. The client reaches out to me, hey, Christi, I was wondering about my 501c3 approval or whatever. Reach out to the client, to my team member. Hey, this client, they want status on their nonprofit. Can you call the IRS really quick? Let me know what they say. Mind you, I'm vetting. No issues have ever happened. So good. They call me. They're like, oh, great. Everything is going through. The nonprofit has been approved. They're going to get their letter in 2 weeks. Because that's how it works anyway. They're going to get their letter in 2 weeks. Let the client know. Perfect. Let the client know. The client called me yesterday. Emailed me. Hey, Christi, I was wondering if you could let me know about something because I need to do my 990. They told me, no, can you provide me with my 990? So I emailed them back.
Then you just did the
tax. That's the taxes. So I emailed them back. Oh, just so you know, you're not able to do your 990 yet. You're a newly established 501c3. You're not even in the system yet. But your 990 will not be due until May 15th. So you don't have past 990s because they wanted it from prior years. You wouldn't even have one from 2022. You just got the 501c3 in November. So you wouldn't even have that yet. So then he says, oh, okay. Well, is there any proof that you can give me, like, of my 501c3 or whatever? Absolutely. So I'm like, I go in our system that we use, pay.gov, to find the client. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it's not in here. Where the heck is the client? Like, it's not in here. It's only the save part from when I initially did, like, the stuff. So I'm like, this is weird. Like, why is it? I don't understand. So let me call. I called the IRS yesterday. Talked to them for 45 minutes. I screenshotted all this because now I have to send receipts because I feel bad. So I screenshotted it, and I'm like, I called the IRS, and they're like, yeah, there's no application on file. I said, what? They said, yeah, no, there's no application has ever been submitted. Okay, so now I call the team member. Hey, what's going on? I just called the IRS. They saying that there's no application on file. Like, what happened? What? You told me that you did everything and everything was approved. And we have a system, like, at first I would check for so long until I felt like, okay, I don't need to check no more. Because you got it. Almost like any type of job. Your boss does checkups, but they don't check every single document that you touch. Mm-hmm. They don't. So I'm like, okay, so then they're like, yeah, let me see what happened. Well, I already know what happened. You didn't do it. So I need to email this client. I'm going to have to let you go, unfortunately, because you can't do this to me because they don't see you, team member, working behind the scenes. They see the power legacy. That's all they see. So I contacted the client, apologized. I submitted it myself, sent proof that it was submitted, sent proof that I was on the phone with them, sent them the email confirmation that came from the IRS that it's been accepted, that they have it, sent them a refund for their work, for even though we still paid for it, sent them a refund for that, and then offered them, like, an additional service that they can utilize throughout this year. You know how much that cost me? That was equivalent to probably $3,000 just in doing all of that stuff. Now, I don't even know what the person gonna say. I don't know how they're gonna feel. All I know is I have to do my part and at least try to fix it. Right. But I say all that to say, things happen in business, and you have to figure out how to make the best of it, how to fix it. You can't crumble, though, because something like that happened. Because this could take somebody out. Somebody could be like, no, I don't want to do this no more. And then depending on how public the person wants to go or how they want to bash you, whatever the case may be. So I say all that to say, like, for anybody that is going to watch this or that's going into nonprofits or business as a whole, like, don't feel bad about mistakes that are going to happen, because they're going to happen. You just have to figure out a way to push through and for it to not happen. So now I have a system that I started implementing it last night to even better what that is, because I can't have this happen again. Right. So now every single person that does anything has to send me specific types of screenshots that I need and upload them into a system so that I can see it before I can say yes, no, whatever the case may be. No matter how good you are. Because I don't want this to happen again. This is like, you know what I mean? So, this nonprofit world. But yeah, the nonprofit world, it's growing. It's I want to say it's becoming like people are handicapping the community though. With some of the nonprofits. Tell me what you mean by that. I want to check. Tell me what you mean by that. When I say, and why you doing that? Let me just check something really quick.
I just had to look.
When I say that people are handicapping the community, I mean
like it's oversaturated.
No. So, like example, when people go to people that get government assistance. They get, let's say EBT. They get $300 a month or whatever case may be. What I notice is a lot of people that get EBT, they try to keep things at a certain threshold so that they don't stop getting that EBT, right? They don't want to stop getting it. They want to get that $300 or whatever the number is.
You're talking about like Section 8 for lifers.
Or Section 8 for lifers.
Instead of wanting to find a way to buy your own and get off of it. Instead of wanting to go and get a good job, a $100K paying job, a $75K paying job, whatever that job is. I'm paying $300. I'm paying $700. I want to keep this. But if you had the income coming in, you wouldn't care about that because you would be able to sustain bigger and better of what you want, right? So the same thing is happening in the nonprofit world. We have these nonprofits that we're doing the work and we're helping our community and we're giving back and we're giving this and people show up. They show up to these events, these drives, these giveaways. They show up to all of that. And they know you're going to do it every single year. So instead of me trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for an $80 turkey, I'm waiting for Against All Odds to put on their turkey drive and I'm going to go get my turkey because I'm not spending $80. That instead of saying, oh, Against All Odds, they gave me a turkey this year. I was really, really grateful because I was down and out and I really didn't have it and they gave it to me. But I made sure because of that, I made sure for the next year I had the money to get my own turkey. And I told a friend or someone that I met in passing that actually was in need to go to Against All Odds. Now you've recycled this person out. They've gotten what they needed to get. They've found a way to better themselves through the resources or through the programming that you provide. And then they've passed it down to the next. So now what happens is that person can say something good about the company. They was able to receive something. They was able to get something. But now they bringing in fresh blood to come into the nonprofit as well. And now they can do the same thing. But when we just keep the same people coming every single year, every single month or whatever, and they don't want nothing better for themselves, it handicaps them. That's what it does. So I agree with what you're saying to a degree. Now I'm going to tell you why. We do have a lot of people that are stagnant in our community. But they're stagnant because, in my opinion, the economical, psychological, and then structural resources that should be there or in place for any community that in the United States of America just aren't really there. And then the generational examples and how we move just as a community, I think, can impact every generation behind on how they even look at life or how they even look at what they feel are opportunities or a lifestyle. And what I mean by that, like right now you can find all over the internet videos of girls under 5, 6, 7 years old twerking. Yeah. Because this is a new customary thing that we've implemented into our society. Yep. 10 years ago, you were starting to see, longer than that, the majority of our young men coming from our gang infested or whatever areas sagging, and it was just acceptable, and accepted. So certain things that I feel are imputed into our culture or parts of how we define our culture, I feel have handicapped people's way of seeing things, like for what it really is.
I agree with that, but I agree with what you're saying, but I still feel that sometimes nonprofits can handicap communities. That's just what I see.
You don't think the communities need as much of these, as long as they're doing something, resources possible?
So I don't want you to confuse the two. Okay. We need them, period. Mm-hmm. We need all of these resources because of what we're going through. Right. But we are also, at some point, and that's what I'm saying, not all, sometimes we handicap our community because what is the actual plan to fix the situation? Meaning, like, there are certain things we can't do because there's levels to everything. You got to go through local, through Congress, through Senate, through the president. There's certain things that we can't do. But I'm talking about the things that we have the power to do. Meaning, like, we can't do everything. We do need more mentors. That's something that we can do. A mentor is not going to handicap you. A mentor is going to make you better because you're going to come up. If you're my mentor, I'm pretty sure you're going to come up with a plan for me to make, because I'm going to tell you, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I'm struggling with, this is what I need help with. And you're going to come up with a plan for me to get out of that. If you're mentoring me, but I'm still in the same place a year later, how did your mentorship really help me? What did it do? So then if it's not, so that's where you have those outcome measures that come into play to figure out throughout that year, if you're not in a different place, then why? What's the reason? We go back to, okay, did we try this? Did we try that? Did something happen in your life that even though you were going through this year, you couldn't actually excel the way you wanted to because you got pregnant, you got put out your home, you lost your job, like, because those things happen too. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying nonprofits are not good. They handicap the community.
No,
don't do one. Like, I would never say that because that's why I'm in this field. But what I am saying is sometimes there are people that are handicapped by what the nonprofit or the resource center can do, and they don't look any further than that. And sometimes it's because they don't know to look any further, or they don't have anyone checking up on them the way that they should, or they don't have anyone saying, hey, I know you came and got a turkey last year at this event. What's your financial situation now? And then they tell you, man, I'm still looking for a job. But had you not asked that, you wouldn't have even known they were still looking for a job. So now you can say, oh, well, I got this resource over here. They have blah, 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 blah. Maybe you should go do a couple of interviews. 6 months later, you check back with that person and you're like, hey, I remember 6 months ago I told you about this job. Did you go apply? They're going to either tell you, oh, yes, I did and I didn't get it. Or, man, I've been applying and I haven't got nothing. Or, I never even got around to it. Then you know how to move with them. Like, because some people just don't want. They just don't want.
I agree. But I just want to say this. For me, and this is the reason why I asked you to come down.
Yeah.
I look at how, 50 years ago, with the Malcolms and the Martins, 60 years ago, they were able to move communities without the internet, without social media, without any of that kind of stuff. What happens with our people, or what I believe happens with our people is, again, we talked about it 20, 30 minutes ago about the branding and everybody wants to be their way. And I'm just big on unifying. It doesn't have to be under this. Yeah. I'm on whatever. Whoever got that plan and whoever, like, whatever it take. So we did a thing, I was a part of a thing at the Home Depot for Thanksgiving. Feed the Hub with Love was the primary. And for whatever reason, it just organically, I don't know, probably 15 agencies got involved because the same day, coincidentally, the EZE Foundation was hosting something over the same parking lot, but on the other side near Crystal Park. And a conversation right there on the spot was like, hey, we could do this together. And they brought their whole lowriders, everybody that was involved with them, Hells Angels, I believe, was a part of it. And they came and made
as it should be. And
I was thinking to myself, this is what it needs to be like.
Yeah, I agree. 2
separate entities or 2 separate events was going to happen within 100 yards of each other. Yeah. On the same day at the same time. But then it happened together and aligned
they didn't
the resources.
Know. And now look at
right. And that's really what I'm on. So I reach out to people like you, T, Spicer, Zoe. Like, so I'm a street dude. Like, I really was in the streets. So this gangster, everybody from different hoods that I dealt with or have known throughout the duration of my time, I know is really trying to see something better in Compton. Let's do something together. Yeah. You can still be your organization. You feel me? Kev over there at L7. You can still do you. Exactly. But our emotion is not going to be as powerful if we don't do us, if we don't come together. So
I agree.
As I'm listening to you, you're an ideal person for, I'm not trying to put you on blast or nothing, but we're on a camera.
He putting me on blast.
I am, like, to host like trainings on how to. The internet is bomb. I watch you. I see you.
Yeah.
But physically, because some of these people,
you're not putting me on the spot.
So
I
they
want to
come
do
here.
that.
So I had an agency called a group called. My memory is shit, but I'm gonna think of it. Heroes, local heroes.
You're not gonna remember.
I know. Local heroes, hood heroes, something heroes. They came out and they showed people how to do the Amity Grant, and they walked through information, presented this like all these millions of dollars allocated just for Compton and Wilmington area and so on and so forth.
Right.
And it was probably like 30 different organizations, grassroots organizations from Compton here.
Yeah.
On the other side. Have you been through here?
No.
Yeah, I've been through here. I gotta take you through here. Oh, that's the devil. So, what I would like to do is have those kind of events at least monthly throughout our city, so that our organizations can both network with each other. Because everybody that came, so many more people called me, "Ooh, I wish I was there, this and that, this and that." I didn't know there were so many organizations going on in Compton. But the truth of it is because of communication. And then it's because we get caught up in our bubble of what we're trying to do. But if we were a bigger push, meaning children starting together, and you were our helm, and you were, because I pay people now for information on different grants that are out there, so then I share those information with different organizations that may qualify, but they still don't have their organization in order.
Yeah.
Their organization's not ready.
Yeah.
But a person like Christi can come in and kind of be that team that we need, that support that we need. And so it can't just be you, of course, because it's a lot of work. Yeah. But a person like myself who I'm not seasoned in nonprofit. Like, that's just not my lane. Yeah. But
no, I already put, it's crazy because I wrote that down. I did the 300 things you want in 2024. You know how Steve Harvey do that.
300 things?
Yeah.
People want 300 things?
Well, you write 300 things. So Steve Harvey was talking about it. You write 300 things, and then you're supposed to read them every day, or however often you can. And then at the end of the year, you look at out of all those things, and it could be things, business, spiritual, personal, financial, like whatever those things are. It's very hard to come up with these 300, trust me. But you write the 300 things, and then at the end of the year, you highlight and go through however many things you accomplished. And it's just like a mind-blowing, because you don't even realize so many things that you actually got in that year. Because most times we say things, but we don't have nothing to refer back to. So I wrote, one of the things that I wrote was that I wanted to do, more speaking engagements, more workshops, things like that this year, because I love this. Like, I love talking about nonprofits, for-profits, understanding different perspectives, saying, oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, okay, and then going and changing it, or even a debate, if whether we agreeing to disagree, but a healthy debate, of course. So I want to do stuff like this. I think people need it, and we could easily come up with more than just doing the workshop. Meaning, like, you're not just going to come and you're going to do a workshop. Like, there's going to have to be accountability for the people that are coming as well, because it's not going to help if you're just coming, soaking up the information, but you're not doing nothing about it, or you're not changing, or you're not implementing these things into your business or your nonprofit. So, coming up with what could that look like? How often are we checking in? And I think doing just those small things are going to not only help unite nonprofits and businesses, but it's also going to give them a better understanding of, like, how they can be better within their own nonprofit for whatever they're serving. Because people not offering this kind of stuff. Like, I do it not only online, like I do it, on Instagram, but I was doing it via Zoom. I do this thing called the Power Hour, where every week I was putting up an episode of something I was talking about within the nonprofit, but no more than 5 minutes, just because of people's attention span. Like, it's not long. And then, so now for this year, it's going to be more of that. It's going to be more workshops, more conferences, more things that help the nonprofit industry, because you got the Hilton foundations and these big old foundations, and they get all this money, even though they have it, they get it, and then we competing with hundreds. Like the Amity Foundation, that grant that's out, we're grateful for it. You know how many people writing that grant, though? You know how many people applying for that grant? You know how many people are actually going to get that grant that apply for it? If more than 2,000 people have applied for that grant. Let's just say 5,000 people applied for that grant. What, they gonna grant 100 of them?
I know.
You know what I mean? It's a lot of money. When you say $1 million, okay, yeah, $1 million. But when you divide that out based on how many people have applied, and they're picking and they're reading through these grants to figure out who's going to be good for that grant, which is why I always say you gotta have a plan outside of grants, because it's not just you applying for that grant.